Hi, you guys. So, I'm doing a session for Clint today. This is a 60-minute soul rebirth journey, and he's just asking me to go as guided by spirit. So, I'm going to go ahead and go into your spiritual atmosphere, Clint, and we're just going to journey through and see what we find. So, I'm excited to do this work for you today. Thank you for your open-mindedness to share. I'm going to go ahead and relax. Get connected. Just relaxing my energy field and then clearing my mind here. So I'm just moving through a space right now. I have nothing to describe at this time. I'm just moving forward through a space. It's sort of like there's details, but they don't want to be too loud. And one of the details that keeps flickering really quickly and then disappearing is that I'm floating through, like I'm really small, floating through a really big space, and there's kind of like a goopiness to it, but it's not heavy and it's not thick enough for me to really notice it, but it's the air, and there's sparkling stars or diamonds in this dark space. It kind of reminds me of like a clear, glittery nail polish because it's sparkly, but it has like a light, gooey essence to it, but it's not necessarily gluey. It could be liquid, it could be air even, but I can sense it. That is a really quick flicker. It goes on and then it goes off right away. I'm not certain if I want to go forward or if I want to go down, and if I go downward, maybe I want to feel my feet. Well, they show me some sort of platform where my feet are hooked into, um, I don't know how you would describe it. There's just a bar here, and my feet go underneath the bar. And for instance, if I wanted to do sit ups or something, but I don't have anybody to hold my feet down, I could have that bar there, and then my feet can kind of like hold on to that while I do this, but I'm standing up straight with the bar under over top my feet. And there's feels like security in this. But I show this bar and the space that if I were to fall forward into the ethers of this dark, sparkly, gooey space, this bar is going to do little, if any, good to prevent me from falling forward. So it's only going to really help me if I go backwards, but not if I go forward. And it's not about walking forward. It's like I could fall backwards or I could fall forward. But there's nothing like I want to move forward. I could fall forward or I could fall backward. But that's not really, I mean, it's all very light exploration here. It's not like at the forefront, like really desperately, I need you to see this right now. It's really just sort of lightly engaging with me. Your spiritual atmosphere is just showing me these little flickering ideas. But it doesn't want to make it too permanent or too loud or too obvious for me. So it's still kind of wanting to create a numbness, so it's harder for me to analyze a numb space than it is for me to analyze a space that's really coming full force to me and saying hello, hello, I want you to see this, I want you to see that, this, and I was like, oh my god, more. Your spiritual atmosphere is just like really quiet, got a little flicker here, but I'm not going to make it too obvious, and I'm going to have you try to figure me out instead of me just showing you stuff about myself. So I just accept it for as it is. I can't force this aspect of you, which is related to ego, because ego isn't really wanting to engage too much in me with me, because ego doesn't want me to change ego. Ego doesn't want me to change anything. So it just doesn't want to show me a whole lot and doesn't want to make it too loud. So even if you on a human level are ready for this experience, there's a part of your consciousness that doesn't want me to know you too much, doesn't want you don't want to tell me too much stuff, and you just want me to go find it. Well, your spiritual atmosphere is like really wanting to be like secretive and flickery things that like it's like there it is, there it is, it's gone, there it is, did you see it, did you see it? It just doesn't want me to engage too much, like deeply engage in your spiritual atmosphere. I feel I'm speaking, I'm in your spiritual atmosphere, I'm an intercom. And so when I speak in here, everything hears me. And I motivate inspirations to in other places to say, hi, I would like to talk to you, or I would like to show you more. I want to open up the space more. And so I'm just sort of waiting for somebody to want to come and talk to me in your spiritual atmosphere, which is your infinite consciousness. It's full of so many threads of information. So I'm just going to continue in the original space, black, like a clear glittery essence. I'm not standing on the thing anymore. I'm just gravitating forwards. It's just emptiness and it's numb. And it doesn't want me to grasp it too deeply. And I feel like the space, I see myself getting smaller and smaller, or the space, I'm just moving backwards and seeing more and more the bigger picture. And it feels like I could travel for trillion, trillion, trillion years as this tiny little thing in a really big space that is numb, that doesn't want to communicate with me forever and ever and ever and ever and get nowhere. Technically, I mean, you can go through the exact same space with no new interactions, and it feels like you haven't moved an inch. I could still float through the same space for a trillion years and feel like I have not gone anywhere because nothing has changed. And why is nothing changing? Why is this your spiritual atmosphere at the surface? This is the first thing I'm meant to see. I'm meant to run into this. Because on the other side of this, there's meaning, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's emotion, there's determination, there are dreams, there's lovers, there's soulmates, there's higher self, there's all of this fruitfulness. But you're insisting on showing me a vastness for all eternity with nothing in it of value. Because this numbness is also a security blanket. It's also a safety blanket. And safety blankets mean there's fear involved, but it doesn't even want to say that I'm fearful. I'm not afraid. I'm just this. Oh, you're freaking terrified. You're terrified. But there's no feeling of fear at all in here. There's just total acceptance of numbness and nothing. And that's it, forever and forevermore. Quoth the raven. Is it for me to manifest something here of change? Is it for me to do that? I could choose to create a place to live here, let's say. And why don't we just create a floor that I could stand on instead of just gravitating into the ethers for all eternity? And now I'm just standing on a white floor, just blank white floor. And now there's sort of a dome of a horizon around me. It's just black with stars, but it still feels numb, okay? I don't know why I'm inspired to get a like a jackhammer and jackhammer the ground and I'm creating like an energy shake movement, even like an irritation in order to get response in here. So we're just we're gonna just do this to the white ground, okay? It's starting to get angrier, but there's birds that want to fly through cheerfully chirping, a bluebird, but all the while there's like a destructive anger that is emanating in here, but it's hard to manifest it fully. Like I'm trying to create like a glass plate, like a place made out of glass where we could just break down the glass. This isn't going to hurt anything. This is just creating energetic response, okay? In a place that is insisting on being numb. If it insists on being numb, I have to create motivation to feel, to react, to have have experiences, active emotional experiences, and that's normal. That's actually normal. That's being human. Otherwise, we can just go numb and be living dead people, you know? This isn't to say that is you, but this energy space that I'm being shown is the biggest vulnerability or disharmony for right now on your journey. It's this. This is your biggest disharmony, is this right here. So I got to focus on this, and creating activity here is going to make you feel alive when this energy work processes. Okay, so I'm starting to bash, bash, bash. Like I'm using bats, sledgehammers, stuff. We'll just get like a $100,000 antique vase and set it here on a pedestal and just bash it. Let's get some. Let's create an energy, emotion. Let's create something. In the process of doing this, there's instantly a woman that's behind one of these glass plates that I'm about to bash with a sledgehammer, and she tells me to stop, and you're making too much noise. And she's dressed in kind of a Victorian, just kind of an, a pretty a gown. What time and place? I would say something like Victorian era. She's got a collar that's way too tight around her throat. She wears a big rounded hat with flowers on it, and her dress has flowers on it as well, a flowery pattern. It's like a white or really light lilac color with flowers, and it's got ruffles here. Maybe she could be like a Southern belle or something. But her face looks kind of like a skeleton, actually. And she's carrying an umbrella on top of having, it's a fancy umbrella to keep the shade out, along with a massive hat with like a super wide brim to keep the sun out. So she's like double protected here. And she likes to be controlling. I start to show her that she has a wine stain on her dress, and she's not going to be able to get that out. I'm starting to show her that part of the stitching is all screwed up. She better go fix that. I show her a mirror, and so she can see her face looks like a skeleton face. I'm helping her to see that she's not perfect. When she wants everything to be in order, everything to be aligned, everything to be top notch, straight and narrow, she's controlling. And she sort of snuffs up and does not choose to resonate with what I'm showing her in the mirror about herself. And she doesn't care what I choose to believe is stained on her dress, or some sort of stitch that is out. She knows that she is in order and she is in place. So nothing I share with her is going to tell her or make her believe that she is out of order. It is me who is out of order, not her. She is perfectly in place and perfect in every way. It is I that is not seeing correctly. It is I that needs to work on myself. She does not need to work on herself. I ask her how many friends that she has. I put her as a tiny little infinite orb going through an infinite space for trillions and trillions of years with nothing changing, where everything will be numb forever. Forevermore, quoth the raven. She prefers it that way because if she doesn't have any discrepancies, which discrepancies are something that the mirror of another soul would show her about herself, as long as she doesn't have anybody else in her life, then she's perfect in every way. And in a way, she prefers that because she feels like she really has to stand her ground with people if somebody is around. So she has to be bolder and stronger in order to prove to me that I am wrong, for instance, where if I'm not there, I'm not breaking much of glass and everything is back to this big black energy space of nothingness with just some sparkles. That would be better. That would be safer. So now we know that it's better to create vulnerability than it is to create numbness. But my spirit guides say, but how, Abby, will you show her about herself if she chooses to believe that she is the all-seeing eye and that anything you see is a reflection of yourself being not perfect? How will you ever get through to her that she needs to work on herself? I say the universe will manifest challenge that creates struggle. It will force struggle into her experience. No matter how much she hates it, she will have to endure struggle until she realizes that struggle is the gift of self-reflection. The universe says, excuse me, the universe says, so I'm responsible for helping her to see herself. I say to the universe, well, here I am helping her to see herself, and she's not seeing herself. I say, well, why don't I start by getting, Abby, will just manifest 1 million people with mirrors to help her see herself, and let's just experience her getting bombarded by too many people, too many faces with opinions about her. Now let's just see how she does. We're suddenly in New York on a busy street. It's harder to breathe here. She would rather be a rat in a sewer than to be amongst these people walking aimlessly in either direction, mindlessly, without purpose or soul. A lot of energy shifting going on here. She would rather be a rat in the sewer. So she becomes a rat and she jumps into the actual sewer. Off the sidewalk into the sewer. She says there's more value to life here than there is up there. I show the original her what her choice was when she was surrounded by people. And I start to see she's not wearing a large hat anymore, but she has quite a ginormous wig of some kind. It's got or very, very thick hair. It's almost crimped in a way, and it's a light orangish color. It doesn't look like it's connected properly to her scalp, and it looks kind of messy and disheveled. But she doesn't look like a skeletal face anymore. She looks like a female face. She's actually very pretty to look at. And she's drying tears from her eyes. She feels hot. She feels like she's overheating. She's not upset with her choice to be a rat in the sewer, but she is starting to feel more. She's feeling heat for sure. She's sweating. She's drying. I don't know. Maybe it's not tears. Maybe it's sweat from her face. Either way, she's getting overwhelmed. But she's still at peace with her choice. She stands firm with it. I tell her, let's see where the rat goes in the sewer. And the universe keeps telling me to place her in a very warm environment where there is water, like a flowing stream, and grass and rocks and trees. A peaceful place where it is safe. So I pick up the rat from the sewer and I just place it here. It's got glowing green eyes. A sewer rat seems out of place in such a beautiful nature scene. Because it's kind of scraggly, it's kind of beat up from life. It stinks. Its fur is really matted and gross. It's got a gross looking face. It's oversized. And this nature scene is so pretty. You don't see these types of rats out here in a place like this. There's a question if I'm calling her a rat. I say, why don't you take a look at yourself in the scene and you decide for yourself. She's starting to reject more, and she takes a gloved hand and she pounds it down onto what is a stool next to her. She looks even more out of place. Even her eye looks like it's drooping downward a little bit. Her outfit looks messier. She's still trying to uphold that she is a proper lady with everything in place, although she's feeling still heat and more disheveled and dirty. I actually admire the rat because I like to see something out of place find itself. So this rat doesn't really live in a nature scene like this. This type of rat is, you would see like in New York or something. It's like one of those scary big rats, like something not natural. But it's out here in nature. And for some reason I like this a lot. It's like a fish learning to live out of water. And given the right circumstance, perhaps it can. If we could transform gills into ability to breathe air and give it some other mechanism so it can actually explore through walking or even slithering like a snake or something else. I like seeing this oversized, dirty rat out here in a clean, healthy nature space. Rat kind of looks mischievous and vicious. It looks like it would hiss and bite. It looks like it has rabies. It looks like it's foaming at the mouth. But it isn't at the same time. It is trying to discover what to do. She's starting to look healthier. This woman is starting to look healthier. I bring her into this nature space with the rat. The rat starts to calm down considerably when it sees her. The rat goes onto her hand. It goes up her arm and sits on her shoulder. Almost like a parrot on a pirate's shoulder, it's a rat on this fine lady's shoulder. She's very beautiful to look at. It's like almost unnatural. Her hair is so thick. And maybe it's just absurdly curly because it looks almost crimped the way that it is. She's just very beautiful. Her dress is getting whiter, almost just white everywhere without the flower pattern. She doesn't feel so stuffy anymore. She feels more laid back even in the beautiful dress she does. She doesn't wearing her hat. She holds her arm out and the rat kind of crawls down her arm. She's got a mischievous look in her eye as she smiles at the rat as though she loves the rat, but now she's changing inside. She starts to take her hand and she takes the rat and she squeezes the rat in her hand really tightly, like a snake wrapping around a rat. And they squeeze the rat so tightly they can't breathe. She's doing this. She's starting to turn into a snake. She's hungry too. She just turns into a snake and her mouth is extremely wide open and she just puts, with her human hand still, puts the rat into her, actually down her throat. And she thinks this is very funny. She's wondering what new prey she will come across. She's a snake with arms and legs and female looking. She could slither on the ground somehow, and she could also walk. She likes being malicious. She likes hurting other people. This rat is more than just a rat. It's trying to survive. It's also a consciousness. It just happened to look like a rat. She's starting to get a bellyache, and I see her becoming kind of oddly shaped, like a bloated snake human. I mean, she's starting to look even like her legs are swollen and puffed out, like she's got elephantitis or something. She's looking very disgusting. She's still trying to convince me she's perfect in every way. But she really regrets consuming that rat. It's giving her a terrible bellyache. I encourage her to lay down in the stream. It's not very deep at all. It's just kind of flowing water, and like her ears don't even go under the water fully when she lies down in the stream. The water just rushes across her body, the lower part, just her back, shoulders, and stuff. The spirit realm asks me why I'm being nice to her. I say I'm not sure, I just feel like she should lay down in the water. Spirit realm asks me if I should teach her about herself, if I should be mean to her. Because she doesn't care about other people, she just cares about herself. So maybe I should be mean to her. Maybe I'm the universe's calling for her to start learning about struggle. So maybe I should murder her. Maybe I should teach her a lesson. For whatever reason, I'm turning into what is a male persona, but I also feel like myself, and I feel inspired to do just that. She's turning into a beautiful, like, damsel, just lying in the water, a very silly girl because she's dressed so beautifully, and she's giggling on a sunny day, and I'm some sort of malicious murderer creeping around in the shadows of the forest. I have a sharp knife, and I can't wait to use it on her. In fact, I want to be creative about it. I don't want to just kill her. I want to actually enjoy this for hours, slowly shaving the skin off of her. And if she screams, it makes me feel even better. Cut our toenails off first. Shave her skin off, yes. It's very disturbing, the ideas. I don't know what it is, but I'm hungry to eat her flesh, like to eat her heart, eat her organs, eat her eyeballs even, eat her tongue, and eat it raw with the blood as well. I just really want to do this. But I never actually come out of the forest and do it. I tell God, no thanks, you can have the knife back. I can't do it. And it's not because it's her or not her, it doesn't matter, it's just something I can't do. And say if nobody will teach her a lesson, then she will continue to discover herself through thinking she's perfect all the time and be whoever she wants to be in this world. Continue to manipulate people. Eat them whole. Say, why don't you come down, God, and do this to her? Why don't you do it? I'll watch you. We'll see what happens. Seems like nobody in this universe, in your spiritual atmosphere, is going to face this part of yourself who is controlling you, who is wonderful and perfect in every way, but who's totally not. But what is this frequency creating? I mean, she's a reflection of one frequency, okay? And nobody will confront her. Nobody will harm her. Everybody will let her get her way, even if she is not balanced herself. So we just allow her to do whatever she wants to do in your spiritual atmosphere. And nobody in your spiritual atmosphere not even the God essence, wherever that is or whatever that is going to do to teach her a lesson either. Which means there's something really big about yourself that you aren't choosing to see about yourself, and in a way, you are also her. You are also her somehow. Does that mean you're a malicious person eating people whole? No. But you could be, for instance, really working hard to show yourself as perfect. But you resist, perhaps you resist too many people in your path. Maybe you want a simpler life, but you find yourself now you're a gutter rat or something. I don't know what this storyline is about as it pertains to you. And a lot of this challenge here for me is your spiritual atmosphere is so ridiculously numb and it doesn't want to talk to me about anything. So I have to go through the storyline itself in order to relay the wisdom and the spiritual healing, because she is a reflection of you, reflection of an energy frequency in your totality of trillions of frequencies. This rat, this glass space, the space of the infinite darkness with the sparkles, all of this is you. Even my own behaviors is you. My resistance to take my anger out on somebody that is kind of corrupt is also you. So there's something, this whole thing is you. All right, so I'm just going to wash the scene of everything we've seen so far. I'm going to encourage new information, okay? I find myself back in this infinite dark space, and there's a weird, like, bulbous orb that's sort of kind of glupping out of the wall, but it doesn't detach. It stays connected. So I'm actually at the wall of this massive space, and it's like a, like a lava lamp or something, but it never detaches from the wall, this sort of thing that comes out. Black sparkle. I take a small knife and I cut it off of the wall and I take it with me, but I also feel like swallowing it down whole. And I actually suck it into my system. Like, I don't just chew it and then swallow it. I actually just, like a vacuum, suck it down into my system. I feel full and I'm going to go take a nap now. I feel like eating more of this. And it's sort of like eating myself, because this space is also a reflection of me. It's you, I'm you, so this space is also you. So you're also consuming yourself here, mindlessly doing it. What is your purpose? What is your purpose? I see this aimless person inspiring more of these odd growths to come out, and then to cut them and then to swallow it down whole. But this is a timeline, because we're looking at swallows it down, takes a nap, swallows it down, takes a nap, swallows it down, takes a nap. But now there's so many of these things coming out of the walls. There's like thousands of them. So you're just now in an aimless way of just cut it off, swallow, cut it off, swallow, cut it off, swallow, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And what's the meaning in this? There's seriously no emotion going on here. If there's no emotion, there's only robotic behaviors that have no meaning to them at all. Without emotion, we have zero meaning. We're just going with the routine. We're going with the flow. We're just moving our body, using our mouth to speak, go buy groceries, go to bed. This is so ridiculously robotic without any emotion. So I can't translate the meaning of any of this stuff, because it doesn't want to have emotion. It wants to be numb. It wants to be this way. It just wants to have a habitual habit that has no meaning or no real value, but to insist that it's your life. So if I just let you swallow this stuff forever and ever and ever, then it's just, this is all there'll ever be. I decide to transform the wall into fire. So it's going to change the dynamic of what you're capable of doing. Cutting these things off are now flames coming out of the wall. So what are you going to do now? I want to see what happens. Oh, you're mad. You're showing me your teeth are like really rabid, like really oversized, and you are going to consume me now. You're going to actually chomp on my head and chew me up. How dare I do that? That is like a rude neighbor. That is like something unacceptable, but it's like it's not like death defying, you know? It's like I ran over your garden or something. It's not going to end your life, but it's you're mad. That's the response here of your anger. It's like you gotta call the collectors on the phone. You didn't make your first payment. The embarrassment and the stupidity of this. Um, it's just a dumb thing. It's just a really dumb thing. Then instead of just saying, "Oh shit, sorry, I guess I missed it," here, let's get that paid and I'll get it on reoccurring or something like that. No big deal. But for some reason, it's just like it's the most heinous, blasphemous, messed up thing, and it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. You're attacking me. I'm ruining your life. But I will say the space is opening up more and it's not as dense as it was. It's starting to get a little bit more airy in here, and I've almost popped this whole bubble. It's like a whole bubble of a space actually. This is amazing that I'm doing this. I can feel it happening. That's like the first positive element of progress I've experienced this whole time. And it's big. It's actually really, really big. You're getting weaker and weaker and you're not able to do anything. Everything is getting so weak in here. This whole, even the walls of the place, it looked like it went on forever. That is really just kind of like the inside of a balloon or something, and the walls are getting really thin and evaporating. Everything is evaporating. But it's afraid. It the what is on the other side of this is scrambling right now and trying to create a new diversion, a new illusion for me, something that it could trap me inside of, so I can't go deeper in your spiritual atmosphere. The thing is I can't force it to choose to work on itself. I have to accept it as it is, play the game while teaching you at the same time, and it's choosing to be afraid. So if it chooses to be afraid, it'll never actually grow in vivacity and in beauty and an emanation of just of adoration and love and reverence and gratitude and all of that stuff. But why is it resisting? Why is it afraid? And still scrambling is trying to create the same scene, so when this scene evaporates, I wouldn't even notice that it had happened. I just end up in the exact same space and it would just like nothing ever happened. But now that this has occurred and I notice the frequency and I can hear the scramble and the issue, I can go directly to the other side. It's a doorway of its own kind. So now I'm through the door and I'm outside of that. Who are you? What are you? Why are you? What is your deal? I'm talking to the scramble. There's nothing to see here. I'm just talking to the frequency. Ugh. It's like low self-esteem, but it's just it's really heavy too, and it doesn't like it feels like a failure that I found it, and but it's too tired to fight back against me. It wishes I never would have come here in the first place. because now I'm showing it itself, and it doesn't want to know what it looks like, because it's afraid of what it's going to see if I show it. And it shows me that it's afraid that it has growths, weird, odd, like squid like limbs, but they're more like roots. But it's very extremely embarrassed by these weird growths on its body. Very embarrassed about its face and its skin and complexion. It's extremely embarrassed, like very, very embarrassed. It's embarrassed, like straight up hardcore embarrassed. I mean, this is actually embarrassed to the point that it's not angry anymore. It's just like you saw me, and I can't create a lie. I can't create a diversion. I can't. I have to just be as I am, exposed. Because some people who get embarrassed, it's sort of like, people who can't handle the embarrassment. And it's something so simple as, you had a booger on your nose on your first date, and this other one didn't tell you about it, and you get home and you see it, and now you don't. It's like, you could just be like, oh God, I better just make a joke out of this and say, hey, why didn't you tell me about that booger in my nose? Or some people would be like, my life is ruined. So it's like, how are you going to deal with the embarrassment? Is your life ruined? Are you too embarrassed to ever see her ever again, or him, or whatever? Or is it like, you know what? I better get on top of this one and make a joke out of it, and so we can just settle this one right away, and then it's cool, and then we can have something to laugh about and talk about, and then we'll just lighten the air. But some people take embarrassment, and it's like the end of their life, and other people are like, oh God, that was embarrassing. I better do something to kind of like fluff that one out on the light end. So there's something here about, but shame, like severe embarrassment. Like there's no actually going back to fluff it out. There's nothing else I can do. It's exposed. It's interesting because this embarrassment is something you've been holding on to for a while. Like, you've been trying to cover it up. Your soul's been trying to cover up an embarrassing event that was too embarrassing for you to face it. And it's still in your spiritual atmosphere. It's so embarrassed. That's why it's created all of this stuff. But all this stuff is also a reflection of frequencies that need looked at, that aren't looking at themselves, etc. Because this is a he is not wanting to admit it, but he has no choice now. I found him, so he's exposed. Just looking at him, he has been trying to overcome this embarrassment for so long. He's lived a lot of lifetimes where he still can't admit the embarrassment. He still can't admit it. So instead of admitting it, he's going to create a diversion, or an illusion or manipulation that he is perfect, or he is, and even kind of go overboard with it. When really, I don't know what the root is. I don't know where this started, but it's actually a history of lifetimes, where you came back to the frequency, the same frequency, in order to just to admit whatever this was, and it could be a slightly different scenario in each one of the lifetimes, but it's all about the frequency of embarrassment, and you weren't able to do it. And now you're exposed, which is really good, because now we can finally heal a timeline of your soul exploring embarrassment. We can finally heal that, and then we can let it go, and now you're gonna actually feel radiant. You're gonna not feel like there's something ugly on the inside. That's going away, okay? Because you're beautiful on the inside, and there's nothing else you have to do here. I tell him that let's let all this stuff go, but he tells me that, but I've become a freak because I've grown grotesque, I've grown ugly, because I've been behaving shamefully by not admitting or not just allowing myself to feel embarrassed or, something of this kind. So he's been overriding it, doing things to hurt others in a way, in order to continue to look the part as a perfect person. And so this is too much for him right now. But it's all very positive, and it's actually healing. Like, this is really healing fast, but we still have to work through it. It's very exciting. I grab one of these. He looks very odd. I mean, you could say he looks like a Christmas tree, but he's full of flesh and skin of really odd, like patchy white, like ashy white into a gray colors, with weird growths, like roots coming out, but they're soft and squishy. And his face just, I mean, he's just very odd looking. He doesn't know where his hands are anymore. So if I touch one of these weird growths, um, he's all twisted up. He says even this growth that I'm touching is actually like his leg, even though it would be like where his hand is. So he's like, he's all confused and mixed up, and he's growing in a very freakish way. And he doesn't want, he's so embarrassed even now, even more than ever before. I just tell him, come out into the light. Let us see you so we can love you for as you are. He is crying profusely. He's so embarrassed and ashamed, and he is so just like trying to hide, but has the strength to come out and to say, here I am. This is what I look like. Hmm. I'm just allowing him to absorb the light. God is watching and smiling. I don't get the impression that anything ever maliciously was done to you because people were sick of your resistance to admit that you're not perfect, kind of thing. I don't know why that keeps coming up here, but you've had other lifetimes where you just really needed everybody to see how perfect you were and to be controlling in a way. But it was really because you were still, your soul was still carrying extreme embarrassment from doing something. And that was manifesting lifetimes of being perfect, and not admitting you were wrong, and putting the blame on somebody else. Even if you're totally not that type of person today, it's still in your spiritual atmosphere. So we're just, I don't see that anything malicious ever was done to teach you a lesson about yourself, for instance. Nothing malicious ever was done. And so it was just the universe was patiently awaiting for you, to come to a place where you would actually admit to yourself, where you would cave, where you would choose it. Not that society would choose it or that God would come down to create something to happen so you would know, but actually you would live continually ordinary lives, so to speak, until you would notice it yourself and choose to let go of it, kind of thing. It's actually really kind. I'm like, the universe was really generously kind. But it was your universe. It was your higher self. It was your higher self that chose it to be this way. Your higher self wanted you to discover it for yourself, and wanted to have very consistent, regular lifetimes to, see if you could, outsmart or see the illusion or see it and choose to be different than it, without anybody coming to, ruffle your feathers about it. You would have to see it in yourself. Your higher self says that there were people that would try to help you see, but you would refuse. You would insist that they were wrong. You would insist that they weren't seeing correctly, that there was no wine stain, that the stitches are correct, that everything is in perfect order, that you are, radiance, that you are, even if you were not those things, you would still insist that there was the rest of the world and it wasn't you. Man, this is big. This is a huge deal that I'm releasing out of your spiritual atmosphere. It's unbelievably big. I don't know how you're gonna relate to this, but this is huge. And it's lots of lifetimes, so we're talking about a lot of energy and a lot of design that you're working with even today, and probably go right under your nose perhaps. But you're going to start feeling like it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be yourself as a lighthearted, loving, lively person, and to just love everybody for as they are, and to know that you are, you're one of the imperfect ones too. We're all imperfect, which makes us perfect in our own right. We're perfect in the making. You know what I mean? So like, there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as being spot on, exactly, unless we're like a statue and we never change, we never move, we never age, we never talk, we never screw up that joke. Like we do stuff all the time that is like not quite there. Oh man, it's this created a very rigid structure. I don't know how to else to describe it, but you're standing tall and there's a very rigid structure that's connected to all of your spine and rib cage. And it's starting to disconnect, and it's starting to kind of like it wants to just break apart and dissolve and go away. But when it does that, you feel weak, and you're very confused as to how to hold yourself up without the structure. Everything's relaxing. You look kind of like a circle, just like a circle with kind of like you could draw a cool sun with like little roots coming out to make but it's a circle. But you're like a dark blue color, like a gray blue, dark gray blue, but blue, more blue than anything. And you just have a face on you. You kind of feel like a virus. You kind of want to just get smaller and smaller and hide. You are actually getting the experience is that you are getting smaller, but you don't actually look like you're getting smaller. You're getting smaller inside your heart, but you still want to show that you are the same size. But I can feel you getting smaller inside your heart. And so you'd rather your heart get small and disappear and then not have any heart and just show yourself as being big still. But I say that again is you resisting. I mean, you have to have your heart. You don't want to be living without it because you won't have any creativity, you won't have any tool to translate everything going on in this world. You have to have your heart. It's your soul. It's your higher self. It's all that you are. So why are you pushing it away? Why are you pushing the love and the truth away, the diversity and the all of it away? Why would you rather be numb and fast and numb? It's far, I don't know why I feel inspired to say it this way, but I say it's far uglier that way. It's far more beautiful to be radiant with love, no matter what you look like. It's more beautiful. But it's uglier to turn your heart off and just be a mannequin, a face and a body without any deeper meaning. We're like finally, like we're really hitting a huge vein here. Because there's a lot of energy just like, wow, flowing and pumping through and overwhelming. It's actually kind of overwhelming. You are overwhelmed by it. I'm just like blah 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 blah. That's what it's like for me. It doesn't hurt me. It just makes me feel like I'm groggy and like sounds and like blah 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 is happening, and it's energy flows, energy flows. You don't want to leave the dark space. You don't want to leave. I show you the version of you still standing in the light and receiving acceptance. Acceptance from the higher realms. Because to you, if God could love you as you are, then maybe that's enough for you to love yourself as you are. And I say, but what if I put God inside of you and you realize that you are God? So if you can't love yourself, then God, any version of God will never love you either. Because you already are God. So you have to love yourself. Because the only one that's judging you here is you. Everything goes numb and still and silent. Shh. Just nothing. Like eyes are closed. Like I don't want to hear, feel, know anything. Zero. You actually start to dig a hole and push yourself into the ground in the darkness and bury yourself in, so you're in a tiny little capsule of space. You're like a person again. You want to not be found and you want to be missing and never discovered ever again. To be unknown. I say, I know what creates that desire. Being too hard on yourself, wanting too much approval from the outside world but not feeling like you get it, and maybe you did something wrong, being tired of life being a certain way and you just wanted to go away, not wanting to exist anymore at all. Say that is you resisting knowing that you are worthy and deserving of love and opening your heart to receiving that love. You have to do the hardest thing possible when you start to feel that way. The hardest thing possible is to stand up, to open your body outward, and to say, okay, I allow the love in, I allow angels to help me. It's honestly the hardest thing you can say when you get into a frequency like that, because you are in the frequency of choosing the void where nobody can find you. So to undo that frequency choice is really hard. So you actually have to do the hardest thing, take a deep breath, ignore what you just chose, and choose it differently. Choose to say, I am bright, I am beautiful, I welcome the light to show me. I am sorry to myself for making that choice. It is time for me to be surrounded by the world, to know the world loves me, to know that I'm a part of this world. I allow that love in to my space. I allow this love to lift me higher out of this world and anything else I've ever known or experienced before. And now I start to see you, and I'm sort of reenacting you here. So I see you gravitating up into the light, having made that choice. And you're just gravitating out of what is the most insane conundrum of energy, numbness and obsession and stubbornness and embarrassment, without knowing that it was actually there, and hiding extreme stuff. And it's all just sort of like way down there, and it's sort of like disconnecting from your spiritual atmosphere. So it's like a massive, insane universe of a jellyfish. It's like the jellyfish inside of a universe is like the size of a universe that is in your universe. It was just that massive thing is now we're pushing it out. And then this tiny little bright part of you we're bringing up into heaven, and we're going to open that love space up and out. I feel like this is also your heart portal we're working on here. It's like a massive jellyfish. I'm like God himself, and I'm just pushing away a giant jellyfish out of your giant spiritual atmosphere. And it's just like the size of everything is ridiculous. Like, wow, that jellyfish is all that numb junk. Everything we've seen thus far is the jellyfish, and that's going away now. It's leaving your spiritual atmosphere, which is also interconnect with your heart portal. That then this tiny little essence of your truth, of your light, of your purest emanation is going up and up and up into a high space of love. You say I'm ready now. I am so ready to leave all of that behind. I don't need it anymore. I don't even know what any of that was. That's how healed the frequency is getting. That we're forgetting what it even was about. So you're almost there into a space where you feel surrounded by love everywhere. And anything that we just saw, that we just learned about, it's like the timeline is already just purified and it's even evaporated in a weird way. It's just like it's totally done. We don't even know what that was. Now all that is left is love and receiving love, feeling cherished because you deserve it. Part of your heart says, I don't know, do I deserve it? Am I cherishable? Am I somebody that could be adored? Yes, yes, you are. Adore back and be adored in return. Balance that which you give is also that which you receive. And work in harmony with your heart. Very disorienting here. You're really coming alive now. I mean, your spiritual atmosphere is waking up and it's coming to life. A lot. Something about Egypt here. Something about deep thoughts. But not being able to understand why. You ever have an experience where you feel like you notice something, but you can't really know what to do with that. So I'm noticing this about myself or about my life, but I really don't know how to go beyond it or what to do more to do with it. So I just see an Egyptian man of upper stature, and I see is him. An emanation of him in deep thought of something that he notices about himself or society, his place in the world, whatever it is. It's a powerful thought. It's a powerful thing he is noticing, but he doesn't know what else to do with it. He doesn't actually have a clue what else to do with this thing that he is noticing. It's a weird numbness. It's almost like a human nature. Like people who have addictions to cell phones don't actually seem to realize how many years of their life is being put into a game. And it has nothing to do with actually living their life. And they don't seem to notice that it is happening. It's like they might feel like it or notice it, but they can't do anything more about it because they just want to play the game. So there's something like he's noticing it, but there's some sort of weird numbness or something he hasn't conquered in the frequency, so he doesn't know what else to do with it. So he just sort of continues to do the same thing without changing. They're showing me that this is starting to break down and to crumble. How could you blame somebody? How could somebody be wrong if they notice something that seems like a discrepancy, but they don't know what else to do with it? So how could we define that person as behaving wrongly or acting out of character or being a bad person if they can't actually have the frequency tools to process themselves? They just can't do it. They just can't do it. This is whatever this is about is another big deal because it's really affecting your mental body a lot and your throat. Very disorienting. And it's also again with that weird structure and the spine, it's again wanting to release another structural pattern. And it's also creating like I feel like I don't know how to hold myself up or stand on my own 2 feet, letting go of this structure now too. We don't even know how to define it. I will say there's massive improvement in breathability in your heart, and breathability in your mental body, and breathability in your soul. So there's more of an access to the depths of your soul. And then welcoming that love in is the only thing that is real. And any other emotion that would be like embarrassing or shame or anger or hate or anything like that, those are like natural responses to life, but they aren't the real frequencies that we're born with. Like, our soul is love, so we come here to be human, and then we experience all these diverse emotions that are also a part of love, but we feel them uniquely. So we just, if we notice something, we just choose to stand up strong, choose to find confidence, choose to find empowerment, choose to be ourselves, as confident, empowering, and full of love. And that which we give them to, we receive. So when we give respect and love, then we should expect to receive respect and love. And if that person can't give it back, then that they're working on their own self. So you should always choose to be that which you want to receive in this world. I will say, I know that we're done here. I will say just some final messages. There's something about confidence here, and knowing that you can stand strong on your own 2 feet. And there's kind of a weakness when it comes to confidence. That's kind of coming out here. It's wanting me to see that and work on that. Some of that embarrassment stuff is still somehow here. It's just still, you're wanting to work on it. It's all brand new. It's all like, this stuff is now becoming brand new, and you're feeling it for the first time, and you're confused by it. But the thing is, I'm out of time here, so I can't keep clearing this stuff out. But I will say that it is clearing itself out. But if you wanted to go deeper into these themes, or into anything guided by spirit, I would, encourage you, if you can, to get a follow-up session, so we can continue to lift you up, and get that well-rounded feeling of I am worthy and deserving of love, and I can emit love, I can be love, I can stand on my own 2 feet as love, and to feel strong with it. Strong and loving yourself, feeling how wonderful and beautiful you are, and just being that. Because I just still feel like you have 2 left feet and you keep stumbling, even after all this work I'm doing. So, but we're making massive progress. Yeah, so that's all I can share. You will be feeling this. You might not be able to put your finger on everything that you're coming to realize or coming to emotionally feel or experience after this, but I will say that you are going to wake up. This is going to wake you up, and you're going to start feeling more alive in this world than you have felt ever before. So how is it going to affect you? I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me. But give it 3 to 5 days. You might feel sleepy. You might feel weird, because all of this energy is processing, and your energy structure has to realign itself with the new frequency pattern. So after that happens, after like 5 days to a week, you'll start to notice yourself feeling and opening up differently to the world, to people in your life, to yourself, noticing things about yourself, and letting things go that aren't serving your purpose, energy things, emotional patterns, behavior patterns that just really aren't you, because they aren't love. You're just letting them go. So I have to stop there. This was a really interesting experience, and I want to thank you for connecting with me for this session. It was challenging and interesting, and I'll be curious to see what your feedback is. So for those of you watching, if you are interested in exploring a psychic session with me, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Thank you all for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful day.